Tell me again how I'm crazy, though. I'm just citing reporting about what leftists are planning to do. I have been all over this story about the Democrats' plans for post-election chaos. The story has leftists in the media, Davey Alba from the New York Times and others, so paranoid that amazingly, they keep trying to turn the story around on us, making it a Republicans pound story. What are Republican pound stories and why does this matter here? Well, it matters for a couple of reasons. This is serious stuff. We have leftist groups, one that personally attacked me and my wife coming out of the White House. I showed you the video calling my wife it starts with an H and it rhymes with flow, if you know what I mean. Dropping F-bombs at us, throwing stuff at us. When I was at the White House the night President Trump accepted the nomination at the White House for the GOP nod for the presidency, we were there. I showed you the video being harassed, harangued, and attacked by Black Lives Matter and Antifa people leaving the White House. They followed us for miles. I showed you the video. So I've been a victim of this, and yet people at the New York Times and elsewhere, Davey Alba and others, a fake news specialist over there, they keep trying to write the story, blaming this on them. Like, my gosh, you know, you guys deserve to be attacked. You're exposing the attackers. What? I will continue to expose these leftists because while we, the conservatives, and I will vigorously, strongly, and on a principled manner argue for peace and calm always after Election Day, the left won't. And the left will try to blame it on us. That's why it matters, number one, because it could be dangerous. And I want you to be aware. But number two, the Republicans' pounce stories are getting old. We're on to your games. Just stop the nonsense. Nobody takes you seriously anymore, so just stop the nonsense. How does Republicans' pounce work? We expose a story about leftists planning chaos after Election Day. And the story becomes not about exposing the liberals, but about Republicans' pounce on leftists calling for leftist violence. The story becomes about our response to it, which is exactly what Alba at the New York Times did. Exactly. She'll probably do it again after this. And you know what? It's fine because nobody actually takes the New York Times seriously, and we have a far greater network of people. Washington Examiner, check this story out. Again, more plans for leftist chaos. Now, replace this group in the Washington Examiner story with a Tea Party group, and this would be a national story right now. Protesters plan to, quote, make sure Trump leaves after the election by Nicholas Rowan, a staff writer at the Washington Examiner. Wow, can you imagine if remember the Barack Obama-Mitt Romney election when he was running for re-election? Can you imagine the story? Tea Party plans to show up at the White House and make sure Obama leaves. Can you Gosh, can you imagine?
Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, there would be a full-blown FBI investigation. People would be put under the guillotine as there'd be the death penalty for Tea Party members involved in this debacle if that actually happened. Now, of course, because it's a left-leaning group, they'll cover it up and they'll blame us. There'll be another New York Times story. Dan Bongino pounces on liberals threatening to pounce on the White House. It'll be a Republicans pounce on media pouncing on Republicans pounce story again. So tell me again how all of this talk about post-election chaos is crazy talk. I'm just citing, reporting about what liberal groups are doing. Are you confused? From the Washington Examiner piece. And again, just listen to these leftist groups in their own words about their chaos plans post-election. It's their own words. Their own words. Just listen. Read for once, New York Times people. Quote, this group, this leftist group, what's their name? What's the name of the group? I forget in the piece. The group on its website promises a, quote, uprising. Oh, here we go, Joe. This should be Dan Bongino pounces on liberals calling for an uprising. An uprising? Where they're going to, quote, make sure Trump leaves office after the election. By the way, this is the same group that has shown up in Washington, D.C. over and over, accosting people, screaming and yelling when all this rioting went on. So they're very serious. It's not a joke. Quote from this group again, leftist group, which again, they'll blame on us because that's what they do when we expose them because they're leftists themselves at the New York Times. Quote, from his attacks on mail-in ballots in the U.S. Postal Service to the GOP's longtime voter suppression strategy, Trump has shown that he will stop at nothing to maintain his grip on power, the group said. This is hilarious. Trump will not leave office without mass mobilization, Joe, and direct action. Again, Armacost, imagine for a moment if this was a Tea Party group in 2012 talking about mass action against Obama if he didn't leave the White House and a, quote, uprising. I am not kidding. People would be in shackles, handcuffs, leg shackles. They'd be imprisoned in gulags, sent to Siberia. Would have to be a new Solzhenitsyn writing stories about the gulags for the Republican Tea Party who sent to the gulags because they talked about an uprising under Obama. But because it's a leftist group, I assure you, the dopes in the left-wing media will write a story about our response to leftist calls for a quote, liberals and media people, media idiots. That means that they said that or wrote it. That's what the quotations are. They're calling for an uprising, and the story will be about us engaging in an uprising, exposing people calling for an uprising. If you're like, oh my gosh, I can't understand. Yeah, sane people all over the world can't understand it either because the media folks aren't sane anymore. Tell me again how I'm crazy, though. I'm just citing reporting about what leftists are planning to do. Can you name for me, by the way, I'll put a challenge out there. If you can name for me a credible Republican group, don't cite to me lunatics, credible Republican group that is out there calling for an election day uprising, well, we'll talk about it on the show. You won't. You can't. They'd already be arrested by the FBI. Unreal, folks. And they come after us. We're going to put this on Facebook, by the way. I'm sure it'll be checked by an independent fact checker who will say, no, when they said uprising, what they meant getting up in the morning and eating a bowl of Cheerios. That's what they weren't talking about a political uprising. Really, because they say they're going to remove him by, quote, direct action, Trump. No. By direct action, they mean the action of scooping the Cheerios in the spoon into your mouth. That's what they meant with the uprising. They did? Because that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
You just heard Dan Bongino.